Good day, my friends, and welcome to Unity Through Past Traumas. What you can't do alone, we can do together by sharing our life stories. On today's episode, all the way from the East Coast of the United States, from Massachusetts, is Andy Grant. Welcome, Andy.
Hi, nice to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming on. So before we start, I'll share a little bit about your background. Andy is a best-selling author, a transformational energy coach, Akashic Records Reader, and the founder of Real Men Feel. Andy has been producing and hosting the Real Men Feel podcast since February 2016. Absolutely awesome.
Thanks.
So before we start getting into the meat and potatoes about sharing about your life and the challenges that you've had throughout your life, if you want to share a bit about, the novels you've written and your podcasts.
Sure.
What you're doing today. Yeah.
I have yet to write any novels. Actually, I began as a screenplay. I was a screenwriter. And I was taking trips to Hollywood, meeting producers, and I suddenly just got this hit, like, you got to stop making up stories. You got to tell your own. So I did, I went the whole book proposal route and was going to do my autobiography and was putting all my stuff together. And I got the records from all the hospitals I had stayed at. And I was like looking at the hardcore data, what doctors didn't tell me, what they wrote down and stuff. So I had all that, and people were good enough to get back to me, but everyone said this book is needed. It's important. You're a good writer, but no one will publish this because nobody knows who you are. So I went to self-publishing, and I decided all of my books, they're all nonfiction, and they're all self-help books. They're all giving us some of the tools that have helped me the most. So that's where all my books come through.
Oh, okay. Awesome. And then as well, I mean, you have been in movies. You have been in small parts. Awesome, right? And you have met people as well. How did you get into the acting part, or at least getting into the movies to play the small, the roles that you did have playing them?
So I went to college for mass communication. I was interested in film and movies, television all my life. Yeah. And I've made short stuff. I've made out of college. I got a job at a public access station. So it's kind of like Wayne's World, if you remember that movie.
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
So it's very much like that. And we had a show called Cool Stuff. And we won national awards. We won best comedy on American cable, home systems and stuff. And so from that, I shot news for a while. I worked on film sets. I was a producer on Anna Nicole Smith's final movie. And she's known for her great acting.
Yes.
It's bad to speak ill of the dead, but there I go. But so I was always behind the scenes, and it was part of I had this just almost a daydream fantasy that, like, wow, in my 60s, I'd love to be like the next Wilford Brimley. I just wanted to be this old curmudgeonly character actor, just that guy. I didn't want to carry films. And I thought, maybe I need to do something. Maybe that just won't happen. So I took an 8-week basics of acting class in Boston. And at the time, Massachusetts was just starting to be this real production hub for a lot of Hollywood pictures. So before the 8 weeks were over, I was already booked to be in my first film, and they wanted me for 4 days, and they gave me waivers, which meant I was in the Screen Actors Guild, and like, oh, great. And everyone else later told me, oh, it's really hard to do that, and people wait years. And I'm like, oh, well, good, I didn't know that. So when I have time, I'll go on set, and I'm an extra. I've worked with Mel Gibson, Bruce Willis, Ving Rhames, lots of big stuff. Oh, Chris Evans,
Mark Wahlberg.
See, I forget it. So, and it's really like I've been in dozens and dozens of films, and I forget which ones I'm in. Like me and my wife were watching the Ghostbusters reboot was shot in Boston, and it was finally on TV, and I never saw. I'm like, oh, and I'm telling my wife, like, oh, this is the scene. This is where, and then my car drove by. Oh, there I go. There was it. So sometimes I'll be on set 2 full days, and they might just like, yep, that's my shoulder. Like, I need to know where to look to find me. But every now and then I'm actually like seen and recognized. And that's what happened in the movie Ted 2. I'm actually recognizable in that.
You're moving up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I started, I was always just drug dealers and criminals. So then I started getting like cast as a dad and just normal citizen. I'm like, oh, I must be growing up. I am not just a hoodlum.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to even, get your foot in the door to start in that career. That path is absolutely, people would die to even get those parts. Right. Yeah.
I just do it. Like, for me, it's just fun, which makes it, there's no pressure. Like, I say no to things all the time because I just have too many of the things that I'm doing. But
well, you're blessed, right? But you've also worked for it, which is something we'll get into as well, that we'll talk about on a serious note. But then also, what you're doing as well, sending light out into the world, which is, I just got goosebumps from it. Real Men Feel, you know, the podcast that you're doing, and you've been doing it now since February of 2016. You know, how did that pick up and start for you with doing that?
Yeah, so almost similar to when I got this, I just get these messages. I just feel these hits, like my higher self, God, the universe, you know, whatever. I think a lot of people can relate to just knowing something.
Yeah.
And I'd been a coach since 2010, and most of my clients have always been women. Women are more willing to, you know, go into the personal growth, do the hard work, go get a little spiritual, you know, try things out. Yeah. And all the women have always assumed I had this great, you know, army of men behind me doing all these things. Yeah. And I just kept getting this hit that I need to call out men somehow. I need to invite them in and kind of make it cool. Or, you know, there's deodorant and shampoo, all this stuff for men. So I needed to, like, here's a program for men, right? It's safe for you to do this. So someone overheard me saying this at a trade show, and they invited me to speak about masculinity at an art house. I'm like, sure. Then as it gets close, I'm like, the hell am I going to talk about? I don't know what it means to be a man. Like, most of my life, I questioned whether I was a man. So in creating this deck, I just thought, well, you know, what if instead of real men are 6'6" Canadian lumberjacks, like some people I know, you know, what if a real man felt? What if a real man cried? What if we thought someone was brave because they showed emotions? Yeah. So out of that, Real Men Feel stuck. And because I was afraid to do this, I asked a friend of mine, and we said, and we just went on, the platform's gone. It was called Blab. Okay. And you could just make a show and people could find you and they would just stumble in. So we would have a conversation and people would wander into it. And, the goal was to do it once a month. By the second month, we both liked it enough that let's go for weekly. Okay. And about a year into it, he just couldn't keep up with the time and the commitment. And it's just been me for like the last almost 2 years. Yeah. But it's all about reminding men that they're human and that they're allowed and encouraged. And in fact, we need to feel all of the emotions that come into us, that come before us. Men are entitled to feel the full range of emotions. There are some emotions that are for men and some that are for women, right? We all actually have male and female energy, you know, divine and feminine energies are in us. Nobody is purely feminine. Nobody is purely masculine. And it's kind of when we try to like deny that or hide or put on the mask or, you know, I always tell men that the most important definition of masculinity is yours. And if you're living under someone else's and it doesn't feel good, or if the person that told you what it's like to be a man was a miserable bastard, why are you listening to that? Like, don't try to live in that model. Yeah. So that's what it's all about. Yeah. So, you know, getting just like myself starting up, you know, doing the same form that you are, we're giving back to people, right? We're trying to help people give back. But because we've reached this state, we do have a past. Right? There are things we went through of severe issues throughout our life that got us to this point in our transformation now where we've come so far that now we wish to give back. And like me doing these podcasts that I'm doing and, you know, the same as you that you've been doing for a couple of years, you know, we all have a past and we all have different levels of trauma. Some might not be severe, but like a guest I had on a week ago, Monique, you know, she shared, you know, trauma could just be not being loved by one parent or being told no all the time. You know, that's a different level of trauma. So I guess what I really appreciate from you, and I'm truly humbled and honored that you are part of my show, is the fact that you're willing to come on and talk about your past, of the pain and suffering that we've all been through on some level. So if you want, I guess, to start off with childhood, what that was like for you and why it stemmed into the issues later in life for you. Sure. That you may have. Sure. Boy, I really want to like start off with jokes, and I'm trying not to do it. But okay. Yeah. So my parents were college students. They were high school sweethearts and not off in college, and I was not a planned pregnancy. They got divorced when I think they made it to like I was age 5. I have no memories of them together. But my dad was already at that time in his early 20s dealing with alcoholism and mental health issues. I think he was working 2, maybe 3 jobs to kind of keep this little family going. But the marriage did not last. At about the same time my parents were splitting, I started getting molested by a next door neighbor, and I didn't tell anybody. And because I some part of me thought if I rock the boat, I'll be the next guy kicked out of the house. So I thought I better just shut up. I've got to be strong. I've got to help take care of my mom. And if I make too much of a fuss, then, you know, who knows where I'll end up.
Yeah.
My dad tells me that from a really early, like at age, 3 and 4, I'm in the waiting room while he's getting shock therapy and screaming. And I don't remember that, but I bet that left a mark.
Yeah.
But from the molestation, the divorce, I was a heavy kid. I was also smart. So I got picked on for being smart. I got picked on for being heavy. I didn't feel safe anywhere. I was an only child. I just felt like the world wasn't safe. I felt lied to. I felt like I had been conned into being born. Like I didn't ask for this. And these two people that have me, they don't seem to want me. Like what the hell? But yet I knew they loved me, and they had a really vicious, nasty divorce and fighting over me to I don't know, to kind of prove or just show that they love me so much by not dealing with each other well.
Yeah.
I'm like one thing that always stood out to me as a kid. I often would take the alimony check back and forth, the child support check. So I thought I was being rented for a long time. I really thought it was my job to go see my dad on Sunday afternoons and do a song and dance and get paid and take it home.
Yeah.
But so again, from a young age, my worldview was that life sucks, then you die. My dad would often tell me that high school was the best years of your life. Yeah. Now, in hindsight, this is a 22-year-old guy saying that. So, but in my this old man is giving me this wisdom, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So grade school early on, I'm deciding, well, if high school's the best, why does anyone go on? So I can remember conversations in my own head at as young as age 8, deciding that, well, I'll give this a shot till 18, then I'm gone. But then things felt worse. I started to really be sure that I was going to die by my own hand as early as age 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
I made my first attempt that someone found me that put me into enough of a distress at like age 13. But even around leading up to that, I was making, homemade soups of household chemicals and trying to like dare myself. And there was a lot of cutting and things like that. So there were multiple suicide attempts through my teens. I kind of only counted the ones that were bad enough that I ended up in an emergency room and was hospitalized. But at like age 20, a psychiatrist I was talking to, at that point I'm locked up in a place up in Vermont. And this guy tells me that anytime you have the intention of harming yourself, that's a suicide attempt. And that floored me because by that definition, my attempts are hundreds, if not thousands. I was like,
mine too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, holy shit, really?
Yeah.
It's again, so I just counted. So it's, my count of official ones is 5. That's how many times I was hospitalized. Okay. And it was after my last attempt, again, I think like 19 or 20 years old. And I intentionally don't get into means, but I'm doing something. I've tried something that I've already tried that didn't work the first time, and I'm trying it again. Yeah. And it does, and I'm still here, and I'm bawling, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? I can't even do this right. And just this, the helplessness, the hopelessness, the pointlessness is just so much in there. But it's obvious to me some things keep me alive. Yeah. I was not raised with any religion, so I thought that made me an atheist. Like I got in trouble in Cub Scouts because I wouldn't do Bible stuff to get a badge. Because no, I'm an atheist. I'm like, no one's introduced me to anything. I have no idea what religion is, right?
Yeah.
But I could feel and sense like some things keep me going. But at the time, I thought it was weakness. I thought I can't drive my car into that brick wall because I'm weak, and I'm veering away because I'm weak, and I'm giving up out of. I'm filling up the car with carbon monoxide and I'm bailing out of it because I'm weak. And is finally like, well, maybe that's my strength. Like maybe that's the will to live showing up when I need it most.
Yeah.
So again, at like age 19 or 20, I just decided, well, there's got to be a better way. I'm not living my life well at all. Yeah. But also during this time, like, and I did very well in school. School came easy. I always got good grades. Didn't have to try. No, my dad was, so by the time I'm in elementary school, my dad's now in AA. He got cleaned up, but he lives AA. He's always going to meetings. If he thinks about drinking, he puts himself into a hospital. So I'm really thinking like, wow, this is like dangerous, toxic stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm very anti-drug, actually.
But other addictions, well, you said you were cutting, so that was a form of addiction at one point then.
So
right?
so doctors, and even though I would drink to self-medicate, and I knew it. So professionals told me that I had the addictive behavior without the actual addiction. I just jumped bothering with stuff and went straight to all the problems that come with it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so I was always, every time I was in a hospital, I got a different diagnosis, which made me not trust any of it. The first doctor I saw, my dad had been labeled bipolar. So after talking to me for less than 10 minutes, he decided I must be bipolar, gave me lithium, and I had such a bad side effects. Like I was shaking. I was walking into lockers in high school.
So who gave you that?
It was horrible.
The doctor?
A psychiatrist.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it was probably my dad's doctor at that point.
Oh, okay.
But so I didn't think highly. In my senior year in high school, the class rankings came out about midway through my senior year in high school, and I was ranked third in my class. I was like, crap. Like I was surprised. Like I don't, what the hell? I'm gonna go to college and be found to be a fraud. I'm not the third smartest person anywhere. I thought I was just, Lord of the idiots in this town full of morons. So I did not trust. I did not trust myself. So I tried to flunk. I stopped going to school. I tried to flunk out of class, and teachers just get past me like, "Oh, if you were here, you'd be getting an A, Andy. It's fine." And it's just like, So there was a big attempt. I ended up unconscious. I was going to say coma. I don't think that's the right word, but I was unconscious for a few hours. Brought to the ER. I have no memory of any of this, and I woke up in the hospital, and I was pissed. And, other people wake up and it's like, oh, good, I'm alive. I'm like, no. I'm like,
I've been there. I know. Yeah. I've been there.
And then the nurse talking to me is the mom of two girls I know in high school. And that instantly I'm like, oh, now, God, no. And so I'm even just madder and madder as the longer I'm awake. And so I got sent to McLean's Hospital, which is outside of Boston, world renowned. I didn't know of it then, but I'm told this. And I met sheiks from Kuwait before anyone knew what Kuwait was. There was a sheik from Kuwait getting treated for depression there, and I met him. But I'm there for a month. I have vicious side effects, like tremors so much that I can't walk. I'm having full tactile hallucinations. I thought spiders and rats were crawling on me.
Wow.
They told my parents that someone must have slipped me acid who visited me, and the two friends that visited me were like the straightest arrows athletes. They're not, and then they're going to get in trouble for daring to bring anything, even if I beg them to. But as I said, when I was writing on my book, I got the records, and the actual records say, toxic reaction, unknown. And I was over medicated. I had some reaction to something. And so that really put me off trusting medicine again.
Your doctor and stuff that was prescribing you, that your prescription was pushing you over the edge.
Right. They were combining lots of different things. Yeah. And again, because it wasn't, I don't know, does thought come before chemistry? I kind of don't think so. My shitty thinking, my focusing on thinking I'm better off dead made this chemical stew that persisted with this negativity, like always in me. Yeah. But you just kind of treat that, and I'm still there with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I didn't want help. I did not engage. I didn't. Yeah, probably. Again, it was in Vermont. The last time I was really hospitalized for a long time, that they were talking about sexual abuse, and I suddenly had the flashback of being molested by this neighbor, and I had not remembered it. And there was a while I thought, oh, good, now it's all over. Here's the reason it all started. Sweet. And it just didn't magically change anything. Yeah. I still was hurt and damaged, and we've talked before that just when you just feel broken.
Yeah.
Right. All my suicide attempts came at points in my life where I felt helpless, hopeless, broken, and beyond any chance of repair, or no longer having any desire for someone to kind of put the pieces back together.
Yeah. You're just exhausted. We're tired, exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. Just want out. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I didn't believe in any afterlife. I just did. Just put ground. I'm okay with 5, just done. I have no interest in this bullshit we're calling life. That's how I felt.
Yeah. So all that stored energy as well, right, from childhood that we haven't dealt with, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
feeling, basically not feeling worthy, not feeling valued, not feeling wanted, no self-love.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't remember. So while these actual life circumstances are happening around me in elementary school from age, 6 to 10,
Yeah.
and I'm going to school, and the slightest things make me start bawling.
Mm.
In elementary school, it's the same school, but from going from the second grade to the third grade went to a different parking lot to drop you off. And that's happening the first day of third grade. I'm on the school bus and I just start crying. And I'm like, I'm not scared of this. Why am I crying? And in hindsight, I was just this really open, empathic kid. And I was feeling all the different fears and anxieties, and it all came out and was expressed through me, even though it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And the same especially was true for depression and fear. And I didn't think I had depression. I thought I was depression. And I thought, I'm this black stain on the globe, and it's just better if we just freaking erase me. Right. And again, no, I did not. I've never even heard that empath term until I was like 30.
Yeah.
But that's definitely, like, as people describe that time, like, oh my God, like I would have flashbacks to this, third grade experience and other experiences of just, I find I'm safe, but I'm near people that are freaking out. So I start freaking out. I'm feeling other people's emotions. It was just.
So how old were you when you started tapping? Well, before we get to that point, how did you gain in your life to have the confidence, self-worth, the way you feel today? What was your transition from not feeling any of that to where you are today with how you feel? Like, what did you do? What things came into play in your life to transform you?
Yeah. So really the first thing was making a decision. Like, no, I'm like, trying to end my life isn't working. So there's got to be a better way, and making a decision like, I'm going to investigate that. Yeah. So I got more into personal growth and found Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer and positive affirmations and things like that. And it's all stuff that therapists had told me for a long time. Like, you should journal. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this My Little Pony diary. And this is all bullshit.
I know.
But everything.
It does work.
Yeah.
If people do, but yes.
I mocked everything that was meant to help me. I made fun of it. I wouldn't open up. Yes. But when I did it, I felt better.
Yes.
And that's the magic. It was finally in my 30s that I'm like willing to do things because I might feel better. And the more I did, the better I felt. And, my 30s were way better than my 20s. My 40s were better than my 30s. It just, wow. Like, life doesn't, you don't peak in high school and then want to die. Like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. The light started coming into your life.
Yeah. But there was no flash boom. Like, I've certainly had suicidal thoughts. I've not made an attempt, but it's something that it's kind of my default. Things get tough. Fuck it. I'm out of here. Right. It's the easiest thing. It's that, literally like how our brains work, the neural pathways, right? The longest one makes a rut. So I would literally get stuck in the oldest rut of the negative thinking, of thinking, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. It's not worth it. It's too hard. I can't do it. Let me out of here.
Yeah.
And so the challenge is seeing when that's coming, getting through it, and then bouncing back out of it higher than ever before.
Yeah.
And, we talked about giving light and being of service. I have found the more open and authentic I am, the better I feel.
Yes.
So I try to be of tremendous value and service to people because it helps me.
Yeah.
Right. I believe that, people talk about a suicide is, they're just selfish.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, selfishness means I would put my joy, my love, my happiness above anything else.
Yeah.
Selfishness, because again, in my mind and in the minds of most people I've talked to, when I wanted to die, I truly believed other people would be better off. Mm-hmm. And it's part of the lies that we tell ourselves to get that more ammunition, to get that more gumption. Like, they don't have to worry about me. Oh, I'm sure. Yes, I know they'll be hurt for a few days, but they'll get over that. They'll all move on. Everyone's going to be better off. Instead of worrying about me or wondering about me, let's give everyone their freedom. That was some of the freaking bullshit that I would tell myself. And in the darkest times, I believed it. Mm-hmm. But a big shift for me was recognizing and being willing to recognize and accept that I was wrong. That, life doesn't suck.
Yeah.
It isn't just birth, school, work, death. It can be, and life is magnificent, but it's up to us to take the reins of that and choose to notice the magnificence.
Yeah.
Right. A gratitude journal is a practice I've now been having daily for, I think, 12 years.
Yes.
And again, made fun of it for at least a decade before I tried it. Yeah. But it works. Yeah. Right. When you start, my brain was programmed that everything sucks. And the times it didn't, like, my life just didn't, it wasn't a constant cesspool. Like, there were good times. I had fun, but I thought the fun times were the lie. I thought I was depression, and occasionally I can feel good.
Well, because you lived in it for so long.
Yeah.
Right? To get out of that world and mindset, it takes a lot of work for us to be to where we're at today.
Yeah. And that's the key too. Like, it takes effort. You got to use that conscious effort, right?
Yes. And it's it's daily.
Yeah.
To keep up with everything. Right. And what I wanted to say as well, you do a lot of postings as well. For people, Andy Grant, follow him on Facebook, and I'll share his stuff after. But you you post a lot of inspiring things every day with your animals, cards that you do. You and me, when we talk, for the times that we have, there's a connection on our lives and who we are. Being sensitive as children, we were very sensitive, soft kids, and like even committing suicide. And I've shared this before. It's like
attempted.
Well, no, actually, I did die once for 4 minutes.
I take it back. Sorry.
Not
you
that
win.
I'm proud. Hey, believe me, it's nothing that I'm proud about. But what we're able to do now, because we're still here living, is we can give back so other people can understand what people go through. Because nowadays you see a lot of articles on emotional abuse is just as bad as physical, because it was always physical, right? Back in the day, growing up, because people can't see feelings and emotions, so they don't get it. They see physical pain, right? And another thing as well for people, and I've shared this before, the best way I think for us to put it, for people to understand when it comes to the pain and suffering we went through to reach that state of depression, is when you see someone, something horrible, they were burnt in a fire. You see them in the pain and suffering that they're in, and for days will go on. They want to end their life. They don't want to be here no more. We go through the energy, and the feelings that we feel inside is just as severe to wanting to end our life, but people can't see it, right? Even trying to commit, one of the times when I try to end my life, because I care about other people, cutting my arm, I wanted to make sure it was in the tub so it wouldn't leave a mess, right? Because we're thinking of other people. We're not bad people. We're just suffering in a way that people don't understand unless you lived in our shoes to reach that point, because there are different levels of depression. But when you reach that bottom line, like we have in life, it's pretty damn severe of pain, and it's been that way for a while for us to even reach that state, Yep. So as far as how did you get into realizing you were an empath and what that all meant about feeling other people's energy?
It was out of striking out with traditional therapy and medication. I was fortunate. The last psychiatrist I had was at a group office, and he had someone that was like dealing kind of alternative things.
Yeah.
And so they helped me wean off medication, talk to her, and I started seeing her, and she started doing energy work with me and these different modalities of NMT, neural method. Oh, geez, I don't even know anymore. NMT, some other things, but it was things. But it was energy work. It was toning. It was the right supplements. I used to have an eyebrow piercing, and she discovered I was allergic to aluminum, and that was throwing off my energy. So I'm like, all right, we'll get rid of that thing. And I just called her my Jedi Master. She was the first to introduce me to energy. Like, you mean not just oil and gas? There's like energy in me, right? I finally really got that we're not just meat suits. Doctors had told me I was this random collection of chemicals that weren't working right together. I'm like, no, you're wrong, guys. We are spiritual beings having this temporary physical experience. And we can change our physicality. Our spirituality is bigger than our physicality. Yeah. Right. That's what I found. And we can bring more in. We can bring that love of life that I have now, like that was always there. I just I was closed off to it. Like I thought it's a lie. No, don't. I want to check out. Don't try to make me feel good.
Yeah.
Like, but I was my own worst enemy. And that's true for, I think, most people.
Yes.
Which is actually good news. Because there's only really one person on the planet that we can do something about, and it's us.
Yes.
So when you're willing to accept and see that you're the one standing in your own way of what you want, again, it's great news because you can do something about that.
Yeah.
I can't, if I want to change you, if I want to change a partner, if I want to change a friend, I want to change my boss, very, very hard. That is an uphill battle forever.
That we probably won't win because they need to want to change.
Right. Yeah. And if you're someone that goes around and just keeps pointing at it, be like, they need to change, they need to change, they need to change, they need to change. Like, no, it's really me. Right?
You're pointing yourself out with the things you don't like.
Yeah.
But So I was just going to take a look here before, because I want you to share a bit more about your business, things you're doing with energy work and healings. Let's see here. I thought I seen one right now. Let's see. Well, Erica said hello.
Hi, Erica.
And then Craig's from Australia. It's awesome. He hops on.
Cool.
Hopefully the weather, everything is good over there, getting better. And then, yes, alcohol is the devil, Craig. Any form of addiction, really, where you're out of control and you can't stop it, that's, the devil for most people. I thought I seen something else there, but I can't see it now. So if you want to share as well on giving back to people, oh, wait, no. I got to click that off again. For people that are watching and they're suffering right now with depression, they're trying to find their way, what 2 tips could you give them that helped you, even though you've given, you talked about your life here, but what 2 things could you say to them to help them?
Yeah. First, you just decide and own it, that if you're meant to be dead, you'd be dead. Right. Trying hard to, have those thoughts. It just, the fact that the thoughts come and go, the fact that you're still here, let that be enough evidence that you're supposed to be here, right? That you're meant to be alive. I do not believe that any human being comes into form. You don't come to life so that you can choose to end your life prematurely due to emotional pain. I don't believe that's anyone's destiny. I don't believe that's necessary. I just don't. And we all have a light. We all have a purpose. And sometimes it can feel horrible trying to figure out what that is. But I find now that, the joy of life can be, what's my purpose? Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's experiment, try things. So if what you've been doing has been working, if you still feel like crap most of the time, try other things, right? Be open. There is so many avenues to feeling better in this world. Just because you haven't found yours yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yeah. Right? And, mentioned it earlier, and gratitude. I love sharing gratitude as a means to feel better, because it doesn't cost anything. Yeah. You don't need to have anything, and you can choose to feel gratitude. I've had the great pleasure to travel the world a lot, and I've been to many third world countries. And the biggest freaking smiles I've seen on faces are people with literally nothing. Yes. Me and my wife visited Africa, and going on safari and seeing the animals was amazing. But we found we loved most was just driving through villages and having little kids wave to us and just waving back. And they would freak out that, like, first it was like, oh, white people, look at that. And they were just like, our guide could tell we were like, cool. And he took us to he took us to his village where everybody under 6, we were the first white people they'd ever seen. And they were enthralled, and we just hung out, and it was just a blast. It was just connection, and with nothing. Like you don't need anything to feel good. Like that's kind of a myth of our society. Oh, if I had more stuff, I'd feel better. Like, no, you really wouldn't. I have been a multimillionaire, and I have been on welfare and food stamps, and I have felt miserable at both ends of that economic spectrum. Right? It's not about the stuff. It's about the stuff that you are. Yes. Right? So make it a goal. Just today, I'm gonna find one thing I'm grateful for. Yeah. And just start with one. Yeah. And then next year, try to make it 2. And make it 5. And, you know, when I did this, I was like a struggle to get to 10. And then before I knew it, I'm like, I lost track. Oh no, I've written 17 things I'm grateful for. Like, I did it wrong. I have too many things now, you know? But it can be that easy. But to start, it's hard. Yes. It definitely is, because we're just so used to being, if you've been suicidal and depressed, like you're just tilted to the negative aspect so much. And it does take effort. It takes your conscious choice to pick up your shit, put it in a different direction, and try to make something better out of it. Right? Yeah.
Has anyone ever tried to help you through it and it was just no good?
Oh, sure. Plenty of times. You can't help anybody that's not willing to be helped.
Yeah.
Right. I had to find out, and you know, I talked about I was great in school, but there's this one lesson I have not been great at. I had to find out repeatedly. I had to fail at dying multiple times before I realized, maybe I'm not good at this for a reason. Right? Maybe I'm supposed to do something with my life. And we all are. But, you know, one book I wrote is called Still Here, How to Succeed in Life After Failing at Suicide. And it's got 6 different tips and lots of strategies. And it's full of the things like, oh, here's all the shit I wish I knew when I was 17.
Yeah.
And so it's just, here's what works, here's what works, here's what worked. Or I should say, here's what worked for me. Yeah. Try some of these. Yeah. And then it even lists all sorts of alternatives and resources. And the final thing that really helped me, again, was energy work. Like I became an energy coach because of this program to kind of just clear out my own gunk and to call down light and have it just flow through me and remove all the other stuff that I've been carrying for other people. And it truly is energy, and you can move it. It can be removed. You do that sort of work, right?
Yes.
So once I experience, every tool I now use with clients is something that I learned myself to literally save my life.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I know it works. And that's why I know I'm here. And if I learn something and I benefit from, this means I must turn it around and share it with people. Yeah, like that's just become, I think it's how all light workers really operate.
Yes. And you know, what's funny is every weekend until April, even now I'm booked every weekend. They're light workers because we go through it. And then when we get here, we want to give back. And we all have, I've been sharing for almost 2 years on my Facebook now. And it only connects with the people who can connect with me with my life, right? And then it came to me when our mutual friend Jeffrey, on how we met on Facebook, it came to me, it's like, wow, I need to get back in, or at least start this podcast, connect with other people who have been through trauma, because most people have. And we all have our own ways of how we got through it, that we will individually connect with different people. So now this platform of doing a podcast like you do, we can connect people with different tools on that, what worked for them, to do more help, or to give more help with helping others that are out there suffering.
Yeah. When I'm at my worst, I have made myself do a Facebook Live. Like, there are videos of me just bawling that I just like, oh, I have to share this. I don't even watch it. I just release it. And I'll hear the greatest feedback come back.
Yeah.
Because it's so rare for a male to be authentic, vulnerable, and open. And I just keep, the more I do that, like I just keep being reminded how powerful that is and how much that is needed.
Yes.
So it's weird. It's almost like, I'm like, will I ever feel that low again? What if I need that to help people? It's weird.
And that's exactly like what you said. I remember my first video I did, it was back almost 2 years ago. And it was me just sharing about my life. There's nothing written down that I was reading. It just came from the heart. And like when you get to those moments where you made those videos that you don't want to watch again, it comes from the heart. And people are listening to that. And they can feel the connection of the suffering because they felt something on that level too. And it's so rare. And that's what I love about what you do, bringing real men feeling, and sharing the emotions and feelings of different situations in life. The value of even you coming on here today and sharing the things you've shared, it's so rare for anyone to even come on and share anything about their life. So the value of you coming on to be so open and honest and transparent about your life with pain and suffering, where most people, I'd almost say 85% of the world can't do, the value is so high for what it was worth for you to share and come on today. So I really, truly appreciate you. And I do honor you as a friend now, since we've met, with the connection that we have. And yes, and I thank you for coming on today.
It was my pleasure. And yeah, I hope those listening live or listening in the future find at least something to take with it, and improve their lives.
Yes. So as I wrap up here now, you didn't share about, if you wanted to, about the Akashic Records Reader with your energy. You do that with your coaching,
Yeah, it can be combined. Yeah, if anyone's heard of that, visit theandygrant.com.
Okay.
And Akashic Records Coaching is all there. A lot of the work I do now with the Mystery School and healings have to be in person. So but I used to serve the world with the Akashic Record readings and coaching.
Okay.
But for ongoing clients, they can have their choice of combine it and not. But so the records are, it's this storage place of everything your soul's ever been through. And it's full of beings that live there and control it. And the power of you asking questions is to help you make better choices and help. It can help bring healing, but it's everything you've ever done. So it's like knowing why do I keep doing the same thing over and over? Why won't this happen for me? And it's, that's the power of the records.
Yeah. And it's amazing because I've actually had done, and it's helped me dramatically with another friend who can do that as well. When we work with energy, with the work that we're doing, it's work to heal people. It's information, knowledge, and guidance to help us live a better life, right? And it's pretty powerful. It's not pretty powerful. It's huge with the power behind it to transform our lives. And that's why we are who we are today.
Yeah.
That, so.
All healing is self-healing.
Yeah.
We just bring in more energy, bring in more insight, bring in awareness, but it's all healing is self-healing. And that's why I find, I'm there as a facilitator, as an enabler, as a channeler, but no, you heal you, and that person's healed back, right? All healing is self-healing. That's why you can't do anything until someone wants it.
Yes, exactly. It's like we want to go out and heal everyone, but we can't because they have to come to us and they have to want what we offer to help them. So, and again, on the banner for people watching, they can go to theandygrant.com or realmenfeel.org to find out more information about you. And so thank you. And please share this podcast. As you know, it may save a life of someone and all just by a click of a button. If you have a success story of past trauma in your life, then please hit me up and come on to my show to give back and helping others who may be suffering like you to know they're not alone. And next week, I'm super excited to have a young gentleman on. His name is Scott Baker, and he resides all the way over in Scotland, who's going to be sharing his past trauma from his mental health challenges as well. So please come on next Sunday when I come on, as it will be a live conference call again. And thanks everyone for watching. And if you leave any comments, please leave comments. If you have any questions, leave them. Me and Andy will get back to them. And I hope everyone has a great week.